Right, welcome to the next lecture. We're gonna see a little bit about the Hibernate ORM, Object Relational Mapping, and how to use it in Quarkus. So it's actually really easy. Let's recap a little bit the web section. So in web section we had the book resource, right? The book service that was providing some books, and you could create, update, delete, replace, I think, as well. The books. So today we're gonna, but we had the problem is that it was in an array, right, or in a list. So there wasn't persistency. So when you restart the project, all the things were gone, or you change a little bit the project, all the things are gone as well. So the persistency, of course, will fix this issue. We covered the data source in previous section, which was more of it was like to know how to use it, and how to connect actually. So the data source will be required by Hibernate as well, or any other resource. So your target right now is to have the ORM that will help you to ease the process of using the data. And so let's create a project. I have here the default Quarkus Backend plugin create, tag now, Hibernate ORM, and then the book resource tag now. So like this, nothing more, nothing less, and we'll have a path with book. So we'll create a resource that will have a /book mapping. Let's create it. So first we need to add an extensions to our project, which can be done. Let's go to the cd Hibernate ORM, and let's call memory Quarkus add extension minus the extensions equals. So first thing we need rest easy JSONB, as we used it in to make work the REST API output the JSON, right? Then we need to have Hibernate ORM here. And let's actually add Grpc MySQL as well, because we're going to use the MySQL from the previous lecture. Okay, so that's 3 extensions. It will just add just the 3 dependencies to the project, nothing more, nothing less. So let's open our project here. I already imported it. So first thing first that you want to do is you want to go to, so I can show you the POM XML as well. So you can see that it's just added these 3 dependencies: Hibernate ORM, Grpc, MySQL, and REST ASY JSONB. You can go to the resources firstly, go to application properties, and let's copy over the thing that we used in previous lecture for the data source. Don't forget to remove any name here. So we had like hello or something like this here. So we are connecting via the Grpc driver to the localhost 3310 hello. The database called hello, sadly, but we can rename it, but whatever. So this is the database name. Then we had the root user, and then the minimum maximum size of the thread pool, or the connection pool, sorry. So first thing first that you want to also add is a dialect. I already have here. I think for some of the databases you need to specify dialect, but for MySQL you need to specify. So we can see the version of the database that we have. Let's see actually docker ps. So I have here Quarkus DB and docker inspect Quarkus. So we're using the MySQL version 8, as you can see here from the environment. So if you're using MySQL 8, you want to specify that you have a MySQL 8 dialect. Otherwise, you can put, I think, 5 here as well. Yeah, you can see the options here, 5.7, 5.5, or just a MySQL dialect for the older ones. But we're going to use 8 today. So of course you can use not only this, but you can see all the options that you have with Derby, H2 dialect as well if you're using a temporary database or not temporary. InnoDB, that's the engine, MariaDB of course, MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, SQL Server, and others that you have. So yeah, we'll use the MySQL dialect. And then the other thing that you want to specify is database generation. And this there is a few different types of generation. So there is like basic one is create and create, then update, then drop, and then create, drop and create. So the one which you can use is of course, and the last one is none, of course. So we're gonna use the create, drop and create like this. So this one will drop database on each restart and create it. We'll see how to import data on start later a little bit. So let's firstly go to our Java book resource, right? And let's create actually a new Java class called data book. So let's create a book class. We'll have here a private integer ID, and then let's just recap what we had previously, right? So we had a private integer ID, private string name. We'll have a private string author, and the last thing is private integer pages, like something like this, then. Yeah. So let's create an empty constructor and create another constructor with all the fields just in case. And the last thing is getters and setters, of course. So now we will convert it from the just a class to entity in database, and it's really easy. So you need only two things. First one is of course entity from the JavaX persistency, and you can see if you use IntelliJ IDEA, this will be marked as error because persistency book should have primary key. So you need to have a primary key here, and it's done really easy. So you just need to put an ID here and then a generated value. And here you can put the different strategies, but I'm using always the identity like this. So this will generate an ID consistently from 1 to like something that will go later. This will be helpful for testing, of course, for the demo or something like this. So yeah, so we have it like this, and let's actually do the work. So next step, of course, is to check modify our book resource. So in this video we won't use the book resource and book service. We'll do everything here because we just need to practice our persistency skills. So everything will be done via the injected entity manager. So the entity manager is the thing from Hibernate, from the JavaX persistence, that you can use to store your data, basically. So let's yeah. So we'll get data from there. So you can put a manager create query with the what do we have? Select everything from book. I think we need to put it like this, and then the class will be, of course, the book class like this. What is this? It's not this one. This one, right? Class like this. And then get result list. So that's it. And of course we'll return a list of book as suggested, and we produce not a text plane but application JSON, and that's ready. So that's first thing, right? And then let's create a okay. So I actually forgot that we use the GPQL here, so we'll need to import it like this. And yeah, that's it. So let's check if it's working or not. Let's call the Quarkus, Maven Quarkus dev, and okay, so it's working. It started. Let's see if it's working for the get, and we have an empty array. That's good. So yeah, let's create a post method in our case, right? So post produces. Actually, let's start with consumes. Same application is shown, produces as well, public book, save book, right? Book. So if you put a book into the parameters here, this will automatically map it from JSON to book, because we haven't specified it's query or path or something. So this will be used as a body. And the persistence is really easy. So you just take a manager and put a persist here and put a book back and return the book. So this is like this. Let's go to Postman and let's use the post method on this book. So I created book 1 author me, pages 10, right? So one thing that you need to put here is to put a transactional like this. So this will specify that this method can use transactions. And after the method is finished, all the transactions will be covered. So you can ideally put it into the service, for example. You'll have a book service but in our case we'll put it just on the method, because we don't have any other place to use it. So yeah, so let's use a transactional here. Let's call method one more time, and you can see that we return the book back author me, ID is 1, name book 1, pages 10. So you can see that there is an ID which was taken actually by this persist method. So persist method will inject ID back into the object, so you can reuse it later, because you don't have any, like, you see that it's basically void. You don't return anything back. So yeah, so this is like the way you can use it, and you can of course update it as well. So let's do it actually. Why not? Put. So let's create a path as well, and we'll have here an ID, book ID, right? Public update, public book update book. Then we have a book here, and we also have path param called ID in our case, right? And then we have an integer ID like this. So after that we get the book. So now it's on the update book method, right? We won't do any check logic right now, because we're not caring about the consistency of the data, because it's like, you know, just a fake book resource, right? But ideally you need to check the ID, if it's like comparing, can you update some of the fields or not. So in our case we don't need it, so let's just call a manager merge in our case, and then book, right, like this, and just return the book itself. So now if we go to the Postman and we go and actually, yeah, we need to add a consume and produces the JSON as well. Don't forget about that. And the transaction, of course. So you need to have a transaction. This is the easiest way to use it. So now if we go to the put on the /1 and we put an ID here to 1, like we had, and we can put, for example, book 3. So we forgot, we changed the name from book 1 to book 3, right? And maybe now we have 12 pages, for example. So now if we put a put here and we go back to the get, you can see that we have this book updated with name book 3 and then pages 12. So we can also put, for example, what do we want? We want to create a new object, another book, and the author not me, for example, and then 100 pages, right, like this. So now if I go to get, you can see that we have 3 objects, and that's exactly what we need. So as you saw that we have actually drop and create. So now if I change something in the app, and you need to be conscious about it. So for example, add system out here some log, right? So now if I'll call a get, you'll see that everything is dropped here. and it's because Quarkus stops and restarts once again. So because of that, everything basically shuts down and then restarts. So again, so you can use an update option here if you want, like this. In this case, if we put something, actually post something, right, like this, and then we get, you can see that there is an object, and we change something here, log2, right, you get, and you see that the data is still here. But that's the one way, right? So you don't need to change it. The other option is of create as well, so this will work as well. So you can see that we have here, but it creates once and then it doesn't change anything anymore. So when we changed it, so everything else will be handled by the database manager, for example, Liquibase or Flyway. So if you put back a drop and create, well, it's not required, but it will be helpful. So you can use a drop and create each time, and you can add the SQL script called import. So you can create an import SQL like this in the root of the resources. And so here you can put an insert into a book. So you need to put a name as it described in the name. You can of course change the entity to a specific name that you want. For example, you want to have it books or something like this, right? So you can put a name books here, but we won't do it. So we'll just use as this. So you can insert into book values. So we have a 1, and then we have after 1, and then actually title, right? Title of book. I don't know, freelance Bible, and then the author is, who is this? Sarah, and then pages will be like 600, right? So I have this book. Don't forget to put a semicolon at the end to work. So now if we restart it with the terminal, right, close it and then call maven Quarkus def again, or like call any endpoint with the change, of course. So now if you don't see any error, then you've done everything correctly. So let's go to the Postman, and you can see that we have inserted the freelance Bible ID at 1, and then Sarah, and pages 600. And we of course can add more books if needed. So for example, this one will need another book, right? And then we get again, and we have 2 books. So this can be useful for development when you need to change something and you doing a lot of logs and you don't want to fill up every time new database. So you can see that I changed one line and we have this import SQL script executed and everything filled up into the database. So you don't need to create the databases itself, tables. You don't need to create the tables itself in this import SQL. So you need to just for example, insert values, right? So it will firstly create the databases by all the classes that it's found for the entity. And after that, it will just import, execute this script. So this is helpful if you know, in fast loop of restarting, trying some things, and then rolling back the state. So if you, for example, you have like a large transaction that if you want to roll back it, you need to do a lot of stuff. So you have like a lot of inserts. This will help you to restart the process. So just take all the imports before in the initial state, right? Put everything to import SQL, and then after that just use drop and create in a generation. And after that, just change the code and execute some endpoints that you need. So yeah, so this is helpful. So you also can create a persistency XML in a meta-inf if needed. We won't do it in this video, but if you're using Hibernate in your daily toolkit, right, then you don't need any explanations. Just you need to know that you need to put a persistency XML and meta-inf and you can specify the more than you can specify with these parameters, but you can specify dialects and all this other stuff there as well. So I'll put a link in the description for all the available parameters for the Hibernate ORM, so you can see maybe you need to specify something more than we covered in this video, and probably you will. But this is really simple example of how to use the Hibernate ORM in Quarkus. And yeah, now you know how to use it, and I'll see you in the next video.